We break it all down. The Vault Studio, the best show in town. Let's show in town. Let's show in town. Lights on, mic check. Game time, let's go. Jay George, Scotty running the show. Rock on the mix, keeping it tight. NFL talk every day, every night.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Vault Studios NFL podcast. I'm your host, JA, and I am joined by Big Spanakopita, Georgie, and Scotty Boy. How are we, guys?
Man, I'm better than good. This is my favorite night of the week, easily.
It's my favorite night of the week too.
Amen.
It's my bigger favorite.
How dare you?
Scotty, how are you, big fella?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Just we're getting the last free agent signings filtering through, and it's still good. Still good.
Still a couple of guys
We're
left.
elbow deep in the off season at the moment, and I love it.
Yeah, it's getting, because the draft is still over a month away. So we're getting into, once a couple more, free agents drop, it's getting into,
We're in the dog days.
it's getting to the grim territory. We're literally waiting for rookie OTAs.
This is the
next
point.
step.
This is the point where we're just arguing about football,
Yes.
just with no basis, no stats, no facts. We're just starting arguments in the group chat.
just because we can,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah,
It
it's good.
Keeps
It's
me
good.
entertained while I'm at work. Put it that
100%.
way.
And we got Brocky over there on
Shout
the
out to
ones
Brock,
and
yeah.
twos with his call, with his little button.
Howdy, boys. How are we?
Good, thanks, mate. You keep
Speaking
doing a
of
good
which.
job over there. Let's get straight into it. Let's get into our first topic. One of the big free agents that is still left, and I think it's worth having a bit of chat about, is Aaron Rodgers.
The narcissist.
This is actually a really interesting point, because it seems like half the league is just sort of waiting with bated breath to see what's going to happen, and he's like, I'm cool. I'm going to go on holidays. I'll catch you in April.
Do you know what they're waiting on now? It's the Vikings.
Yes.
Yeah.
So from all reports, Kevin O'Connell, Vikings have had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers, and they're both interested in making it happen. And it's Kevin O'Connell waiting to basically make the decision. Are we going to do a year of Rodgers, or are we going to just roll with McCarthy?
Mm.
I think the Vikings are trying to save face, saying, "Oh, we're waiting to see if we want him," because they don't want to be desperate like
Yeah.
Pittsburgh and the Giants. You know,
Right.
Do we think it's a good move for the Vikings?
If you're going to go with Rodgers for a year,
Mhm.
right? How the contract is played out for Darnold, it's basically 1 year for like 35 million, 30 million, or whatever it is. If you're going to roll with Rodgers, you should have just rolled with Darnold for one more year. At least you knew what you had with Darnold, and he's not a dickhead.
and he's not going to hold your franchise hostage. like-
Darnold won't.
No, yeah, exactly.
That's my point. Yeah.
Rodgers comes in, and then for better or worse, you have to have fucking Lazard on your team,
And he brings a circus with him too. Like you get the wrong kind of attention, wrong kind of media attention. It's just, I wouldn't want him in the building simply for that. And also, I wouldn't want him around my young quarterback either, because maybe not so many bad habits play wise, but just bad habits about just being an egomaniac. I wouldn't want that near my young
But
quarterback.
it's also very clearly his last shot, Rodgers.
Yeah.
So maybe he's changed his tune a little bit, and maybe he goes, all right, I'm the definite number one. Like, I don't feel that threat behind me because I've got no tread left on the tires. So then I will teach you, because you're not really coming for my job, because my job's so short term.
Look, as a concept, I don't disagree with that. But what I know for sure is that people, as they get older, they don't become better; they become worse.
Yeah.
I think
Especially when they're rich and they don't have to change because they
Yeah,
got
that's
$400 million
very
in the
true.
bank. You can always just go,
he's still
fuck
getting
you.
paid by the Jets.
Yeah.
I think the Vikings are in a very peculiar spot. Their roster's very win now, but they've got the youngest quarterback in the league
At all, like the entire,
who's never played a snap.
exactly the entire, and didn't play a lot of college football either. The,
Not a
en-
huge
He
amount.
played a bit. He played 2 years, I think.
the entire season of the Vikings, the future of the Vikings is reliant on McCarthy being good. If he sucks, which we don't know yet, but if he sucks,
They could be like a 6-win team.
they could be terrible.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, if Rodgers is in the building, at least then he's coming back from injury too. You don't have to then rush him. You can, and if Rodgers struggles, then you can go to the young guy, similar to Kirk Cousins last year with Penix. You can go to that guy. It's not going to cost you a lot. You know, it's a 1 year thing. I guess the mentality and the reputation of Rodgers, from all reports at the Jets, like, I know there was stuff about, I truly don't believe he got Salified. I don't believe that.
I don't think so either. I don't think he's that type of cancer. I think he's more of a, I don't think he's a locker room cancer, but like you said, like his circus, and
Yes.
that is like a team issue.
Do you think they are better with Aaron Rodgers than last year? Let's take last year. If they had Rodgers last year, are they a better team than with Rodgers and Darnold last year?
No.
Yes,
No. No.
I think
the stats are comparable, and
Darnold
Rodgers
played at a really high level, man.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did, but he's also thrown at Jefferson, Addison, and
Yeah, no
he had
doubt.
a decent running game.
Yeah.
The stats are similar, and Rodgers didn't have that. Garrett Wilson's good, but he's probably not even as good as Addison.
yeah, that's
Fair,
very
that's fair, that's
and
fair.
and Rodgers again, once he started getting healthier down the stretch, he did play a lot better. Now I don't love the guy. I wouldn't want him to play on my team.
Mm.
But if I'm the Vikings, I think it's a low risk, high reward move.
Oh no, I think it's a medium risk.
Medium risk. What's the risk? Is the risk that he sucks? Because I don't think he's going to suck. I think at best he's average. That's probably that worst. He's average. That's the worst case scenario
But I think
in that offense with those players.
I think there's an issue with if you get another veteran quarterback in front of McCarthy. What are you telling McCarthy?
That's my point. I agree with you 100%.
You say to him, "Hey, look at all these guys that have sat, and you can use the first example you can use is Sam Darnold. Like he got
But he
thrown to
didn't-
he got thrown to the Wolves and failed, miserably failed. Baker failed. Like
Look at the organization. So you're talking
Yeah.
about the Jets and the Browns.
So Vikings aren't, like I said, they're not perennial losers like the Browns and the Jets, but
What about Stroud? What about
No, the Vikings are a button up.
they're a good team. They've been a very
organisation.
good organization.
Yeah, I agree.
there's plenty of there's plenty of rookies that come in as successful. Also, look at the fact that every rookie quarterback from that draft that played last year played pretty well.
Mm.
And I'm just playing the percentages here. What are the chances is that McCarthy's not good? Because I would say now, looking at the quarterbacks that have been drafted, it's very rare that 5 of them end up being really good.
I think it's probably about 60-40 that he's bad.
Yeah, I would say.
Mm.
I'm not confident in it. And I said I don't watch a lot of college football. I know he won a national championship.
I know.
He was very good.
I was low on him. I was lower on him coming out of college because he was a dump off specialist and that sort of stuff. But working with it, like if what's the Kevin O'Connell?
Yeah.
If he's the coach and he is bragging about him, he's not bragging about him to trade him.
No. I think
So I think that
McCarthy's the
he
future.
must have worked with him and seen enough of him to go, all right, he's definitely our guy. He's not quite ready because how old is he? Is he 20 now?
He's the youngest. He was one of the youngest players in the draft last year.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the most of the draft is older than him this year.
He's 22.
22. Okay, so he's at draft level this year.
Yeah.
Mm.
So they're like, okay, he's got all the talent, he's got all the traits, but he just needs to develop,
Mm.
like physically and mentally.
I just think, as I said, if they do it, one, it's hilarious because he's basically doing what Brett Favre did,
Mm,
which
that's true. That's funny.
just for the storyline alone is hysterical and
Yeah.
outstanding. He has like Aaron Rodgers and Kevin O'Connell have the chance to do the funniest thing in
Yeah.
NFL history, which would be cool. And also, I don't think it's a bad fit. Lots of play action, mid to intermediate. Rodgers can throw the ball deep. He's smart. I think he could run that offense really well.
I think the power struggle will be the biggest issue.
Well, and I think that's what the conversations are probably going to be.
There's no
why
doubt
Kevin
that's what it's
O'Connell's
about.
not. Where Kevin O'Connell's probably got some things that he wants to put in place, and it's going to be up to whether Aaron Rodgers does that or if he wants to go play in Pittsburgh or New York.
Mm.
I think Rodgers in New York is a disaster. I don't think they're talented enough. They don't have a good offensive
There's
line.
no way he wants to go and play in New York.
No, and I don't think he really wants to go and play in Pittsburgh because
Too
Aaron
cold.
Rodgers' dream scenario is he comes back, wins a Super Bowl, or plays on a contender, maybe has a playoff run, and he plays some meaningful football, which I think he thought the Jets was going to be. And in fairness, a lot of us thought it was going to be as well, and it completely derailed. So maybe this is his opportunity. And in fairness, Brett Favre made an NFC Championship game with
Yeah,
the
with the
Vikings.
Vikings.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
In the Bounty Gate game.
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
Saints.
Yep.
Rocky?
So what you're saying is you want Aaron Rodgers to go to the Vikings to play in a contender,
Yep.
to play in a playoff game,
Yep.
to throw a crossbody interception,
Yep.
to lose the game.
Yes, correct.
You want to live in a simulation. Just want to make sure that we're
We are in a
to
simulation.
someone named Porter. It doesn't have to be Tracy Porter, but it has to be someone named Porter.
well, there is a Porter in the league still.
there you go. That's what they got to find.
So-
Yeah, for
Steelers.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yeah.
Going 2 steps back. If you're going to roll with Rodgers, you should have just stayed with Darnold. The going forward, you got to see what you got with McCarthy. That was the plan always.
Yeah, they got to stick to the plan now.
You just got to roll with your plan.
But again,
See what you got.
they might not have thought like this could be a scenario where Aaron Rodgers' people has reached out to the Vikings and gone, "Hey, he's interested."
Yeah.
Maybe they thought Darnold was going to get 40 plus.
Yeah. Like you also never know. Like they don't know what they
I think they were
Darnold
happy.
might have wanted to go and just have a fresh start, not have
Yeah.
anyone behind him, not be a 1 year. Like if he'd stayed at the Vikings, right, Darnold, and had a okay year, not as good as last year,
Mm.
the pressure's then dialing up, right?
Yeah.
At least at this,
Even if it was at the same level, the pressure's
Yeah.
probably still there.
and at least at the, and you know it's not a long term thing. Like
That's
he
right.
knows if he plays well in Seattle, he's the man, right? If he has the same year he's had this year in Seattle or better, he's the man. His 3-year deal is going to look amazing for Seattle.
Well,
and great for
he's
him.
going into contract renegotiations in the
100%.
following season.
100%.
no
Whereas
doubt.
at the Vikings, it might have only been a 1 year deal. Now, I know the Seattle have only guaranteed it's like 1.25 years. they're
Yeah, it's
guaranteed.
18 million for the
But there's
second year.
also
Yeah.
incentive that they don't move on from because they
Mm.
don't have another quarterback. And they're not drafting one. The Seattle aren't drafting a quarterback.
I think they should. They got Sam Howe still.
Your love of Sam Howell is miraculous.
Oh, he's a gunslinger. I love gunslingers. I don't know.
He's crap.
Play with.
Tall,
Look-
white, handsome gunslinger.
He's definitely a handsome man, Sam Howe.
He is not
Oh.
not as handsome as Sam Hartman, the backup quarterback for Washington.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
Mate,
shit.
shit.
Even
As
I'm
a-
like, damn.
As a pure straight man, that guy does some things. Like he makes you wonder. You know
Pure
what I mean? Pure straight. Well,
Sure.
yeah,
sure.
yeah. As
So
we've started
final
the future,
final
we're all
word.
one
Where,
pick
where
away.
does Rodgers play next year?
Pittsburgh. is my
Giants.
I'll be very surprised if he's not on the Vikings.
call. Yeah, you reckon that's just going to
Yeah, I think so.
We've got all three here.
I think the meeting was about, hey, are you going to check your ego at the door and just play Vikings
I
football?
don't think he can. I think he would say yes, and I don't
Yeah.
think the Vikings would trust that.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
That's what I think. I would always have that doubt there if I was the Vikings.
definitely worth the risk. Because you know what? You're paying him $30 million. If he's a dickhead into week 3, just cut him. Like,
Just cut
like
him,
Daniel
whatever.
Jones. Just be like,
Yeah.
hey, mate, you're an idiot.
Yeah, that's very
And
true.
then the narrative is for Rodgers, you're going to end your career giving all the people that hate you exactly what they want.
No, he'll end his career with there'll be a team that's injured that's almost a playoff contender, and they'll
Yeah.
be like, "Hey, we'll ride or die with whatever
Yeah,
you want."
like a Flacco at the Browns sort of situation.
Yep, exactly.
I think it's the best. Vikings are definitely the best spot for him.
And the weird part about Rodgers, that it brings us to our next topic, is he needs to be the domino to fall because Russell Wilson's waiting in the wings.
Mm,
Pittsburgh are apparently very interested in just bringing him back, which I don't hate. I don't hate it.
hate it. Yeah.
They've literally got no quarterback, so
Mm.
they have to roll with him. So they could do that. They've got Rudolph on the roster. Like Russell Wilson is a much better quarterback than Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph.
And then you've also got guys like the next tier down, Kirk Cousins, Jameis Winston. I know Kirk Cousins hasn't been cut yet, but I don't think it's going to cost you much to get Kirk Cousins off.
I think it would just be a
Falcons.
7th rounder.
Yeah, I genuinely think it could be let's give us a 6 and we'll give you a 7th back and we'll take your salary
Yeah.
for you. Like as long as you take it in full, sort of thing. So they're the next dominoes that need to fall. Russell
yeah,
Wilson,
Jameis hasn't signed anywhere yet. yeah.
I think Jameis wants to be a starter. And looking at it now, there's probably 3 teams that he could start for.
Mm.
Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and the Giants, depending on what Rodgers and Wilson do.
He could start for the Colts.
And
He's
I
better
don't
than
think the
Richardson.
Titans are sold on
Yeah.
a quarterback either, because there's a
Oh,
lot
and the
of.
Titans, because the Titans, I think they're going to take Abdul Carter. Personally.
I think they're going to try and get a trade for a quarterback needing team that wants Ward.
I think so too. Because they are,
Oh,
unless
yeah,
they just,
okay.
again, I think if they have to take the first pick, they will probably take Cam Ward because it's just when you've got a chance
You
to pick
have
one,
to.
you've got to take the quarterback because
Sure.
you're never going to be successful. unless
Because if
take
you
one.
don't take Cam Ward and
Yeah.
he turns out to be Pro Bowl level quarterback within the first contract,
Yeah.
you're the laughing stock of the NFL.
It's
Mm.
affecting drafts. So like the quarterback decision now of Rodgers is actually affecting
Draft
a
picks as well.
plethora of teams
Yeah.
because I think it's affecting teams like the Titans going, well, if the Giants sign him, then maybe they're not going to trade up for him. So
Yes.
let's try and roll back to 4, and then we're still a chance to get someone. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think the Patriots are at 4, so they're not going to trade up. 'Cause they've
No,
already
yeah, no,
made-
that's what I mean. Like, maybe you.
So
sign
then
someone
you're
up.
at like a whoever's at like 7 through to 10
Yeah.
sort of thing.
yeah. So there's some teams that could potentially want to jump. Maybe a Pittsburgh wants to sell the farm and jump up.
Mm.
Well, they don't have much on the farm.
Well, if they gave the Titans, I think Pittsburgh are picking like 16 or 17 or something, but if they gave the Titans, hey, we're going to give you 3 first-round picks and
There's no way Cam Ward's worth 3 first-round picks.
no, quarterbacks are though. This is the thing. The value of the quarterback,
Mm.
what I'm realizing about the draft is that it's not necessarily about the player. The best quarterback in the draft, he guarantees that sort of value because every team wants them, every
Yeah.
team needs them. It's there's not many teams that win with a crappy quarterback, other than the Eagles. Obviously, last year they're the outlier.
Shout out.
Shout out to our boy Jalen.
Hey,
Um,
Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl MVP
Jalen
Jalen Hurts.
Hurts.
Sorry, I forget how
Hey,
he
he's 50-50 reps with fucking small hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I
Kenny Pickett actually kneeled the game down,
Yeah.
so he's more the Super Bowl champ.
just saying. like,
Imagine the spanking you got to give to put your backups in
Yeah,
the fourth
that's-
quarter of
I
a
think-
Super Bowl.
don't get him started. He's going to go on about it again.
I think if you're Pittsburgh, I'd rather Pittsburgh at this point take a flyer on Anthony Richards or the Carolina, what's his name? Bryce Young.
What, try and trade for him?
Yep. I think they're both tradable.
I think Anthony Richardson's probably tradable. I don't think Bryce Young's tradable.
No,
I
I
think
don't
from
think
what we
so
saw
either.
last year, the Panthers have a lot invested.
Panthers will stick it out with him, but only because of the capital they gave up to get him.
That's it, and he played.
No, but if you get
played very
two
well
first
last year.
rounds back and you're not 100% sold on him,
Yeah.
well, why wouldn't you cut ties?
Yeah, but who
I
would give
agree
up
with
2
you. I
first
think
round
Bryce
picks?
Young is very good, and I think you shouldn't. But if you're not sold on him now, like you're 2 years into the rebuild and you're still 2 years away. So why not just start it again?
Yeah, because like by then it'll be the end of his rookie contract kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But Aaron Rodgers holds the key. Russell Wilson, I think he will end up at Pittsburgh.
Back at
because
Pittsburgh,
unless Rodgers signs it, then he'll be in New York. I think it's
Yeah,
either Pittsburgh
right.
or New York for both of those guys. It's Pittsburgh or New York. I hope Rodgers goes to the Vikings because, as I said, if nothing else, it's going to be a bit of fun.
Good story.
It's going to be exciting. Let's go to the Browns. I was just really quick on this. So a bit more has come out about the Myles Garrett re-signing. Don't get me wrong, he's still full of shit. He still took the bag over anything else. But reports are from the Browns is that basically they said we're not trading you. You're under contract next year. We will sit you on our team. No one has
Franchise.
offered anything, and then we'll franchise you after
Yep.
that, and then we'll franchise you again. We're not trading you. So either you take this record-breaking contract, which we're willing to pay you and happy to pay you, or you sit on the bench and you don't get it.
Mm.
Simple as that. And then apparently they had a meeting about their quarterback options, and
Yeah, he's very happy.
he's
Yeah.
very happy with the quarterback option. So it's going to be hilarious. Whatever happens with the Browns, it's going to be hilarious because they're not trading for Josh Allen. So there's not going to be no I'm like, oh my God, Myles Garrett knew that's why he stood.
What sort of discussion do you think they had?
Well, I
that
think
he
he's
walked
happy
away
with one of the scenarios
Yeah.
of
Which
this
was-
of the situations.
Which was what? You
We
think?
don't know that.
Well, no, well, yeah, they could
I'm
be.
asking you to speculate. What do you
I think it's Russell Wilson personally because he's the only one that's actually visited them. So I think it's Russell
Okay.
Wilson. And I think
I don't know,
Probably
it's-
Russell's got in his ear and gone, Miles, we can. The Browns clearly don't think they're as far off. Like to quote the great Brian Scalabrine,
Yeah,
they think they're closer to LeBron than these guys are to them. Like
yeah.
they don't think they're that far
Well,
off.
they made the playoffs season before, so like
Yeah.
I kind of don't necessarily
They got-
disagree with that.
I think they're now way worse than that. team.
Defensively,
sure.
they were very injured last
They've still
year.
got no Chubb.
Yeah, Chubb's an issue. Again, he's
Still a free agent.
yeah, he hasn't even been signed yet, which I feel sorry for. He just hasn't recovered from that injury.
Yeah, that was a bad
And it
injury
sucks.
though. Yeah.
It sucks, but he just
And
not
it's
the same
a very rich running back draft. So
It's
I don't
loaded.
think he's like a J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, I'll be shocked if he's signed before the draft.
Mm.
I think it's a last roster cuts and then we'll get him in.
Yeah,
Mm.
we'll get him for vet min and see if you got it again.
Yeah.
If you got a year in you.
Yeah.
It's, I genuinely and like, he was one of the best running backs in football, so it sucks.
Before that
but,
injury, he was 100%.
but it's the reality of playing running back in the
Mm.
NFL. You lose a little bit of that power, a little bit of that speed, a little bit of that step. It's only a 1 or 2% thing before you go from being a superstar to just a guy.
And defenses are now getting faster and still hitting just as hard. So
Mm.
yeah,
I think the Browns, like they've got a good defense. Obviously, Myles Garrett's one of the best defensive players in football. They got Owusu Koromoa, he's a really
Yeah.
good linebacker.
Yep.
Denzel Ward, the other cornerback whose name I always forget, who's another first round pick. They've got some good players on defense. I just think if they can hit on a quarterback, it could be a different world.
So you think they're drafting a QB or not? They're drafting 2, is that right?
who?
Yes.
Browns.
Well, let's put it this way: what if the Titans take Abdul Carter? Are they mad not taking Ward?
I think so. Yes.
I think they should.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So and from all report, I don't think the Titans are sold on.
I'd be
Taking
drafting a
Campbell.
quarterback if I was
I don't
Cleveland. for
Yeah, I
sure.
don't think they're sold either, but I think you have to.
And the Raiders aren't going to move up because they've got
Geno.
now.
Yeah.
There's just not that many teams in the top
Mm.
10 that like. And then again, New York, from all reports, said they want a veteran quarterback because their GM
Win
and
now.
Dable, they know they have to make the playoffs this year or they're all gone.
They're all going to be fired.
Like, if
yeah.
they win 8 games, it doesn't matter if they win 8 games with a crappy roster. They are done. They're-
I think you could probably get a Milrow. I think Dart's a late first rounder, but you can get like a Ewers and stuff like that in the third round. And who knows?
Yeah.
They could be day one starters.
Yeah.
Maybe not Milrow. I think he's a bit more of a project, but
Sure.
Ewers could
Ewers
with
is
the right
pro
coaching.
ready.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Quinn
I don't know if
Ewers
he's that
is
good,
okay,
but
yeah.
he's pro ready.
Yeah.
He's played a lot of football at a high standard in college football.
Yep.
It's been a 3-year starter. Like I think if you
If
can get him in the third round, it's not a
If you're
terrible
the
pick.
Browns, surely you take the flyer because you
Yeah.
know Watson's not the guy. You got
Forget it.
you got whoever out of whatever veteran quarterback for a year, maybe 2 max before there's no blood left in the stone, and then Ewers is ready to go.
Yeah.
when he's 32 or however old he's in 2 years time.
100%. Well, let's keep your eyes on it because the next week or so.
Yeah,
when
that
these-
could be interesting. There in
There's gonna,
Cleveland,
like
sure.
I'm telling you, the domino of Aaron Rodgers is gonna if he signs with the Viking, then Pittsburgh and New York and the Browns are in desperation.
Bidding war for Russell Wilson in the
100%.
cuck chair, waiting for
Yeah, 100%,
Rodgers.
yeah.
Yeah,
They are like it's wild that one man just holds the power over
Yeah.
like 5 franchises and potentially teams that want to trade up. We don't know. Like again, Pittsburgh might be sitting there going, if we don't get Rodgers, we're making a move for the number 1 pick. Like we have to.
Hmm.
We just don't know what they're thinking. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of dominoes to
I
fall.
don't think they've ever been that aggressive. Going Brock.
What was that stat you brought up in the group chat the other day, JA, where all 32 NFL teams
Oh.
hold their first round picks?
So this is
For the first time ever.
First time ever since the league year has started that every team own their own first round pick.
Mm.
They have not traded or done anything with, which tells me it's not a great quarterback class because normally by this point, like the Jared Goff trade a couple of years ago, the Stafford trade, that was a week ago. So
Right.
and then dominoes start to fall from that. So, and I said, like, it could be because they're waiting for Rodgers. I'm not sure, but it's wild that it's the first time that's ever happened. That teams are just willing to be like, let's just pick where we're picking. And see
Well, I
what
think
happens.
also because the draft is very, very good for O line and D line, and teams are now looking at building O line and D line, and then you add your skill players in,
Yep.
and then if you've already got your quarterback, perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
this
so I think
is a
the
great
team
draft.
building.
If you've got your quarterback, this is a great draft
It
Yeah,
is. There's going to be
yeah.
some teams to get some
because it'll be
very
good
players.
value later in the draft. Too.
It's why Pete Carroll came out and said it's why we went and got Geno
Mm.
because I didn't want to be desperate for a quarterback in this
Yeah.
draft because there's
Yeah.
too many good players.
That's because he's a
Yeah.
smart fucking coach.
He is.
Yep.
Talk about smart guys. Let's talk about Derek Stingley. Got his monster contract. I think it's only a 3-year extension, but he's got a year left on his rookie
Yep.
contract. $30 million a year. So he jumped up over the Carolina cornerback,
and JC Horn.
JC
Horn,
Horn,
yeah,
by $5 million a year. Stingley's the second best cornerback in football, if you ask me, behind PS2.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yep.
fair.
Started a little slow. He was injured his rookie year. He started coming on in his second year, and then last year he was an All-Pro corner.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think I said, and this kind of brings me to the next topic I wanted to talk about: teams signing young stars early. I think this is a great move by both the Panthers and the Texans
Yep,
to get their young
absolutely.
corners signed up. Because in 2 years' time, because now the Jets are shitting themselves because they've got to sign Sauce Gardner.
Mm.
And like we said, I said last week, like the Bengals, who we'll touch on later, and the Cowboys have shit the fucking bed.
Yeah.
Mm.
They've shit the bed.
In fairness, though, and the Cowboys paid CD Lamb early. So they
Yes.
so CD Lamb's on $32 million a year.
Mm.
Now looking at, he's almost on the same as T. Higgins.
Yeah.
And so there is like sometimes you get it right.
That's why.
sometimes you get it
That's
wrong.
why
But
you have to pay him early.
if you've got a guy you want to be on your team, the second
it.
you're allowed
That's
to
right.
pay him the max
That's
amount
what I was
that
going to
they're
say.
asking
If he's
for.
a great guy and he's a high character guy, and you want him in your building, long term, why wait?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like if you've got a hot girl that you want to marry, don't wait. Propose to her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brock,
Brock, take notes. Write it down.
Do
Write
you
it down for the
get
future.
what I mean? Like,
I'll write that down.
He's a high character guy. He's by all reports. He's a great guy and he's
Yep.
an unbelievable player. Pay him.
Yep.
Keep him. Then that way he's
Because
locked
you're
in.
going to do it anyway.
Because the longer you wait, the more you're gonna have to pay.
And
Just
not
get
only
it locked
that,
down.
There's always going to be intrigue in the league. So if he's slightly below the contract value,
you can move him.
you can move him. You
Mm.
may not get the best value back, but you can still move him for second, third,
Yeah,
fourth
move
round
off
picks,
him if you
which
need
are
to,
still
yeah.
very valuable team building picks if the contract doesn't pan out.
Sure.
It's very rare that the contract's that bad that you can't move a guy and you have to cut him and eat the dead money
Yeah.
when they're young. When
Yeah.
they're
Yes.
older, that happens. But
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just had a thought. I was thinking about it all week. I'm like, these teams that are letting guys go too long. The Bengals are the prime example because they.
Do you want to rip into the Bengals now?
Yeah, let's
Because
talk about the Bengals now. Actually, no. Let's do Brocky. Do Brocky's corner.
Oh,
and then
I've
we're
been
into
waiting
the
all
Bengals.
week for this.
And then we're into the Bengals. Brocky's got something he wants to talk about.
So this is going to be for all my autistic brothers out there about NFL stadiums.
Are you saying you're also autistic?
Yeah, I'm slightly there. When it comes to this stuff like
Slightly.
this, I'm slightly there.
We're all on the spectrum.
So this this is something I heard from a reporter, Brody Brazil. He's a YouTube reporter.
Oh.
He's come out and
Shout
it's the state of Illinois, where Chicago played, the Chicago Bears.
Yep.
They've come out with a bill where for the team to request public funding, that the team needs to win at least 50 games in the last 3 out of 5 seasons if they want taxpayer funding.
Are you talking about the Bulls,
No,
the Bears,
The Bears, the Cubs, the
Yeah.
White Sox.
So what do they have to do? Sorry.
They have to
combined to win by 50?
No. So they have to have at least a 500 record out of 3 of the last 5 seasons for them to request tax-paid funding. The best thing about what they've called this bill, it's balance earnings and record standings. Anyone
Bear.
want to break it down?
Bears.
It's the Bears rule. They're bringing the fucking Bears rule
That's funny.
because the Chicago taxpayers still owe $589 million on the last upgrades they did to Soldier Fields,
Field, yeah.
and they're looking for more tax. Like they're looking at about another $1 billion for another stadium.
So they
Of
want to
just-
build. They want to build another stadium.
They wanna
and
build
get
another
out of Soldier
stadium.
Field. Is that right?
They want to build another stadium. They want another
Dome.
a dome.
Yeah.
Further down the water, they want $1 billion worth of tax-paid funding money for
Just
that stadium.
outrageous. Like, aren't these owners all like Jerry Jones, where they can just pull
I don't think the
$7
Bills-
billion out of their pocket and go,
Yeah.
"Here you go."
Nah,
Not the Bears. The Bears have no actual money except for the money that comes through
They're real
the
mum,
team
real
itself.
mum and pop NFL.
It's a real
organisation.
mum and pop. They even tried to move out into maybe like an hour and a half outside of the city, and that got shut down real quick, even though they already bought the land,
Oh.
saying they had the contract signed for Soldier Field for a lifetime.
Oh,
So
wow.
they couldn't actually move out there. So they bought, I think they spent about $500 million on land out there and can't actually do anything out with it. So
Just kicking goals everywhere in
Bears.
the organization.
fucking idiots.
The Bears,
The
man.
Bears.
That's a very good corner from you, Brocky.
Thank you very much.
They're normally funny. That was just insightful and
No.
smart.
I saw this video and I watched, it was like a 10-minute video, and I enjoyed every bit of it as I was driving to work.
That's a great the Bears rule. Very good.
It's safe to say that the taxpayers are safe.
Yes, the taxpayers are very
Yeah,
safe.
Although the Chicago Bulls live in mediocrity, they could be a 500 team.
The
No,
the
but
Bills
they
are
had Jordan.
No. They're a perennial play-in team, so
so the
they're
White,
probably 10 games under 500.
the
though.
White Sox also wanted the new stadium there, and last season they lost 121 games out of a possible 162. And this
That's not,
year
that's not good, guys. Just
Yeah.
everyone
No,
listening.
that's
they're
not-
on
That's not
track
baseball,
to
that's
lose
bad.
another 120 games this year. The last winning
Jesus.
season they had, they went 42-26. It
Oh,
was,
in
the,
a
it
lockout
was the
year.
COVID season
Yeah.
where they only played 60 games the last time they had a winning season. So
Jeez.
4 years ago.
They got on a streak. Yeah,
They
that's
got
very
real
interesting.
hot.
Very interesting, Brocky. Thank you for that insight. We got our topic for the week. We're going to do this for the next few weeks. It's called "What's the Plan?" and we're going to go through every team and just talk about what we think, basically based off the moves they've made, what their plan is going forward. So hoping to get them all knocked out before the draft. So we'll do them for the next few weeks. Let's start with the Bengals, Brocky, because we've brought them up a couple of times. So the Bengals brought up. Did you just do a double? Oh, Brocky, you're a
Yeah.
machine.
Hey, Dubs in the chat. Dubs in the chat.
Bro, everyone, get on the video and check out what Brocky's just done.
Crisp.
He's blown my mind.
Crisp.
That's outstanding from you. I'm blown away. What was I talking about?
Bengals.
The Bears?
Yeah.
No, the Bengals. They signed Jamar Chase
Double
to
signing.
almost $41 million a year contract, and they signed T. Higgins to $31 million a
Yeah.
year, I think it was, which makes Burrow, Higgins, and Jamar Chase the highest 3-player cap hit in the history of the NFL.
Jamar Chase and Higgins are $100 million more than the second highest running back duo in
Receiver
salary, which
Who's
is
that?
Hill and
Waddle. Yeah.
It's those 3 players are 33% of their cap hit next year.
Wow, that's so,
So
much.
here's my problem with this, right? The whole cap, as everyone knows my feelings on the cap, it's not fucking real.
Mm.
Like they just maneuver and work around it all the time. This blows me away because why didn't you just sign Jamar Chase last year? This brings back to a sign your young stars early. You wanted him around. The negotiations were happening last year. He missed all of camp for it.
Mhm.
Why didn't you just give him $35 million then a year?
Yep.
And like we said, you waited too long, and now you got to pay him.
and then you got to pay him
Literally-
more. And then now you got to pay Higgins more too because
Yeah.
you tagged him. If you wanted to keep Higgins around, sign him 2 years ago. Before you 2 years ago, they could have signed him.
I think it was just a case of the owner didn't want to pony up the dough, and Burrow forced his hand.
Burrow's
That's the only
just-
way he did it.
Just holding a gun.
That's the
to his
only
head.
reason he did it. It was either sign these guys or I'm asking for a trade. I think that's what happened behind.
And
closed
I
doors.
think you at that point, you just go to Burrow. If you don't want to be in your ass, if you want to be protected,
Yeah.
we have to let Higgins go, and that draft capital has to go into the team.
yeah,
Or if you want to, like the memes are saying, if you want to play 90 to 73 games,
Mm.
the time for the Bengals to win was when Chase and Higgins were on their rookie
Rookie
contracts.
Yep.
They didn't win.
They played in the Super Bowl and they didn't win.
They didn't win. They also had a good defense that was all underpaid and played over contracts.
Yep.
Yeah, they had the perfect scenario to win. They didn't win. Now the defense is aging and terrible, and now they're paying their guys too late. It's a terrible offseason for the Bengals, and they draft horribly. So now
Yeah.
your margins are razor thin. I'm a big margins guy.
Mm.
They're razor thin,
Mhm.
and they're relying on scouting and drafting, which they have not done because they tripped over and fell into Burrow, and then Burrow begged them to get Chase.
I don't think he begged them. I think he forced them to do it.
Yeah, well, he forced their issue to get Chase. He said, "He's my guy."
Yeah,
You
I
get
want
Chase,
my guy. He's mine.
So they
Yeah.
fell into Chase.
Okay,
as
well, let's just say I think they had to sign Chase. You don't let Chase leave the building. They
Chase is
need-
the best receiver in the league.
they need
I'm
to do it
talking
a year
about
ago.
drafting Chase.
Yeah. So
Yeah, re-signing Chase, I've got
So-
no issue with.
if they don't sign Higgins,
It's just the timing. Do
Well,
it.
yeah, should have done it a year
No,
ago
Yeah.
and save yourself $8 million a year.
Because every year someone's resetting the market for $5 million more. Now you've waited 2 years longer, and now you're fucking paying $7 million more, and now you're paying $10 million more for Higgins.
they could have had T Higgins on Waddle money, which is $24 million a year,
Exactly.
and then Jamar Chase at 35.
And like I said to you in the chat, the money, if they signed them both a year ago, that combined extra money they're paying is like you're paying an elite guard that money.
Exactly.
Now,
You're paying
You get
15 to
Trace
20
Smith
million.
for $20 million.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get Tooney or someone like
Well,
that.
Tootie's probably a little bit older, but I agree with 100% in your point.
That-
You're
that
getting that
sentiment.
high end starting guard.
Yeah.
So now you're getting a third or fourth guy. Because now Henderson's probably after
Nah,
this year, he's
I-
gone.
The stuff with Hendrickson kind of pisses me off. Hendrickson had a great season last year.
Mm.
Great season on a terrible defense. He's like good guy on a terrible team.
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
guy. And he was great. And he's been
Also
great
got
since
3.5
they signed him.
sacks in the last game too.
Yeah. And he was a good player. He's been a good player for them. He's going to be 32 when the season starts.
Mm.
Not many 32-year-old defensive ends get 40 million a year.
Yeah.
So I think and he's under contract next year.
Is he asking for 40 million or is he
I-
asking for an extension?
I don't know, but I wouldn't extend him.
I would.
literally be
Why not?
saying, what for? Like, what sort of money
who
would you
else are
give
you
him?
paying? Who else are you getting for that money?
Well, I think extend him for 25 million a
Are
year.
you getting Lawrence? Like, I'll take Hendrickson.
Yeah, I agree. But the fact that Henderson's now throwing the toys out of the cot and going, well, I'm not going to play next year, they can literally go, okay, don't play.
Yeah.
We're going to be a shit
Has he
defense
come
anyway.
out and said that?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
holding
that's-
out.
that's-
Well, they
that's stupid.
gave him permission to
Seek a trade.
seek a trade.
And no one's trading for him. No one's giving up anything close to what the Bengals want for him.
No, of
which
course not.
I believe is a late first round pick.
Sure.
Now, I said there's a few teams like you wouldn't hate it if the Eagles gave up a late first round pick for him, would you?
No, not at all.
I
Because
don't
we're
think it'd be
going to use that pick on a D end anyway.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think there's some teams that will do it, but this whole that money for Higgins, I would prefer to have Higgins than have Trey Hendrickson any day of the week.
Yeah. All I'm saying, I agree with you. I
Yeah.
would have just done it a year ago.
Yeah. That's the thing. So this whole team,
I would have done it a year ago, but at this point, I would have gone to the Patriots and said, "Hey, what are you doing with your second and third round pick?
Yeah. Okay.
you want
because-
Higgins.
You want Higgins? We'll take your second and third round pick, and maybe we'll give you this year's fifth or sixth or something, and then we, as the Bengals, will invest that in the O line in a strong O line draft." Everyone take a drink every time we say that about running backs or O line,
Yeah.
but like, you know what I mean?
I'll be drunk off my. Um,
But like,
Yeah, I 100%
to,
agree.
to build a team, and you can't have Burrow going out to other podcasts with a spreadsheet saying, "This is how the money works. Make this happen."
Yeah.
He's already got you by the fucking balls.
Yeah.
At that point, he's if it all turns to shit, he's leaving a 3 year time at this point now.
The best thing about that
So why
podcast
run it
was-
all back? It didn't work.
was when he said there's three ways you can do it. We can readjust so we get more guaranteed money. We can kick the can down the road, whatever it was. Or the last one is we can just take less money. And they go, "Well, you
Nah.
gonna do that?" He's like,
No, nobody's
Yeah.
doing that.
No, it's But again, this is why the Bengals, this is the problem in the core to the Bengals, right? He's due $25 million next year, Joe Barrow.
Yep.
They could flip that into fully guaranteed at the start of next season and get $25 million in the cap.
Mm.
The owners can't
But
pay it because they're too cheap.
That's the problem. The owners don't want to give him 20. They don't want to go to their bank, go to the ATM, plug in 25 million, get out and go, here you go, Joe. There's this straight fat cash in your hand.
It's crazy.
Right now.
It's crazy though, isn't it?
Because they just they don't operate like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
The
Yeah, bro.
Cincinnati Bengals didn't actually
Didn't
have
even
an,
drop there.
Yeah, I didn't know you were going to
Sorry,
because I didn't get a drop. Yeah, you know.
the Cincinnati Bengals didn't actually have an indoor training facility until last year.
like
Because
they're
Let's
tight up.
just
Burrow.
in the
Yeah.
north.
So I'm actually looking at this for the Bengals as a like in terms of what's the plan. This is a sign of maybe they're changing the way they operate.
Like a teaching moment.
Yeah, maybe they're saying, hey, you know what? We should have paid those guys 2 years ago, but we want to pay them now. We want to keep them. We want to make the culture that, and we are going to restructure Burrow. We're going to gain a bit more money, and then we're going to use that to get no linemen and stuff like that.
I see
time will
it.
tell.
I see it as a double negative because you fucked up the pass. You didn't learn about it. Now you're playing catch up on the past,
Yeah.
and now you're mortgaging your future.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so what's the plan then for?
You're being
Like I
reactive
said-
and not proactive.
Like
know
I said,
exactly what
you
you're
trade
saying.
Higgins, you bite the bullet, you say, Burrow, this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
Because
And then who do you sign to protect him? Because there's no one there.
you have to go through the draft.
Draft.
So you just drop. But you
Draft.
can,
You
do
have
that
to.
anyway. They
Draft
drafted the
online.
first round tackle last year, Mims, who was okay, and he got hurt.
Yeah.
He might be all right.
I
There's still plenty of guys. They still have a
Second-
first, second, and third round pick they can draft. How many guys they want to
Higgins,
draft?
Higgins is a 2 receiver. You can get a 2 receiver from at least 12 to 15 teams in the league.
I think
You
you're
can get a 2 receiver.
Bro,
underselling-
you
I
can
think
draft a 2 receiver in the third round.
I think you're underselling how good T. Higgins is. Maybe that's where the discrepancy is. I think T. Higgins is a
T. Higgins is right up there with
really
DK
good-
Metcalf. Their stats
Yes.
are exactly comparable.
Yes.
And Metcalf beats him in everything. So I've literally, and I go for Clemson. So I've seen T. Higgins for a long time.
Yeah. So why don't you think there's value in keeping him then?
Because
No,
it
he's saying
hasn't.
used the resources elsewhere
Yeah.
because what they're doing hasn't worked, and the stats back it up. Like last year, they were 6th in points per game and 9th in total yards per game, but they were 25th in opponent points per game and they were 25th in opponent yards per game.
And
Also, further to Scott's point, the stats also back up. Last year, when they scored more than 33 points, their record was 3-4. The first team in history to lose 4 games whilst scoring more than 33 points. The rest of the NFL last season was 79-7 when scoring more than 33 points.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
and
So the stats and the eye test back up what Scott is saying 100%.
and on top of that, Higgins is injury prone.
Yeah, right.
He's injury prone. He misses 3 to 4 games every season. And now you're tying up $30 million in a guy that's injury prone.
Mm.
And what's to say that you haven't, you shit the bed through the whole contract negotiations? What happens if the Bengals start 1-4?
Mm.
Yeah.
You reckon Higgins hasn't been happy the whole time? He's like, hey, this shit's cold. I'm only getting,
The other,
eight targets a game. Get me out of here.
the other point to
He's got no value.
Just on the Higgins injury prone, there was an Instagram page last year that was watching Higgins run into training, and they could pick with an 80% accuracy if he was actually playing that week, depending on how he walked up into the hill of the training facility.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's how sort of bad he was.
Yeah.
If
I
he
don't even
walked
have
up it,
Instagram. That's just the eye test for me. But
if
So-
he walked up it, he
Validated.
didn't play. If he ran up it, he played. That's how
There you
bad he
go.
was last year.
So the other point that I wanted to make is that this model of paying your quarterback big money and paying your 2 top receivers big money, hoping that that's going to lead you to the promised land, this model's already been done. Miami have already done this,
failed.
and it didn't work.
Yep.
They've won nothing.
Yeah.
They're a borderline playoff team at best.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, if anything, the Bengals should have looked at this and go, well, another AFC team has already tried this and it doesn't work. We need to do something different. Look at all the other good teams. They're all investing in their O line. They're all investing in their D line. Like, that's what they should be doing.
The only way it pays off is if you are elite at drafting. If
Yeah,
you're
and they're
elite,
not.
then they're horrendous.
Yeah.
One of the worst. But if you're elite at drafting, you can have the capital in a skill position,
Mm.
and that's fine because you know that you can fill out the rest of your roster with confidence.
Yep.
49ers have done it for 5 to 6 years now.
Sure.
They keep drafting these nobodies, and you're like, oh, who's this Banks guy that was like a 2nd round pick? Well, he's a borderline All Pro.
Mm, mm.
You're like, oh, cool, no worries. Like they tied up all their money in their skill positions,
Yep.
and they're elite at scouting. The Bengals are the opposite, so you can't go down that path of tying in the resources.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
So, what do they do going forward?
Well, they have to stick with this now. They have to
Their
just
mortgage.
hope. They have to hope that Burrow, Chase, and T. Higgins absolutely go off next season. And the defense, they can draft some guys, find some production out of it. And
Yeah.
defense, I'm not as concerned about.
Basically, what they're hoping is they're going to draft well. All their draft picks are going to hit,
Yeah,
which is not a great.
And defense
let's be
is
honest.
very fickle.
Sure.
Like it's very up and down. They only really need
Did they get a new coordinator in there as well?
yeah,
Yeah,
they
they did.
fired what's his name, Liao.
Who's the new coordinator, please, Brock?
and then so defenses are very fickle up and down. If they can have around the middle of the pack defense, they're probably going to be successful. They also back that they're not going to have a kicker miss 3.
I was just about to bring
cost
that
them
point up.
games.
Yeah.
Like, they're playing the percentages of last year, as you just said, we lost more games than anyone ever, scoring over 33 points. They're going to play the cards and go, well, if we just do that again, we're probably not going to happen to us. We're going to be a playoff team, and then we're going to take our chances in the playoffs.
Al
we go.
Golding is the new defense coordinator
Right.
for the Bengals.
Okay. So they're probably also hoping that he's going to come in and do like a
Tie
Vic,
in.
like a Vic Fangio and like revamp
Yeah,
that whole
just fix
defense.
it up
Kind
a
of thing.
little
Okay. All right.
That's the plan going forward, anyway. Unless you guys can see a different plan.
Nah, that's
No,
that's all I can
they've
do now.
mortgaged absolutely everything on this. So yeah.
All right, let's go 49ers next on the what's the plan. I have a bit of a different opinion on the 49ers. I think what they have done this offseason as a bit of a reset is actually quite smart.
Just like offload a bunch of cap,
Yeah, they've offloaded Deebo Samuel, who was terrible. Like, who did they get rid of that was actually good?
like Greenlaw. Was good.
Dre Greenlaw, I agree. They
Hargrave.
should have bought him.
Hargraves is all
Well,
right.
Hargrave was hurt last year. He hasn't been
Juszczyk.
that good.
Torn his pec, but
Juszczyk's
before
back.
that he was good.
Juszczyk's
Juszczyk
back.
re-signed.
Juszczyk's
yeah.
re-signed, so he's back there. They traded Jordan Mason away today, which tells me that they're confident that
That
CMC
McCaffrey's
is
gonna
going
be
to be
healthy,
playing.
Or
So
they're going to draft
or they'll draft in a deep draft.
that
they'll draft a
Isaac.
running
What's
back.
his name? Isaac Guantio.
Guerrero.
Yeah, Guerrero.
Guerrero. He, like I said, he played
played
quite
it,
well
yeah.
last year as well. They've got Trent Williams. Again, they'll draft well. I think their
Trent
plans
Williams. Oh.
their plans actually quite intelligent because I think they saw the window would close with the current situation.
Yes.
So they've said, all right, well, let's just, and I don't think they're trading Ayuk. I think Ayuk will be on the Niners. I think that was all a bit of smoke and mirrors.
I think if they could trade him, they would.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
think, I don't think
the
anybody
offer-
wants a
I
contract.
agree.
That's the problem.
So,
Yeah.
you roll into a season with, let's just say, because we play with injuries off at the Vault Studio. CMC is good. Kittle,
If he's not injured, he is
Yeah.
good for sure.
Juwan Jennings,
Good.
Yep.
Ricky Pearson,
I like Pearcell.
Ricky Pearson,
Yep.
Sounds good.
and Ayuk, who's not injured.
Yep.
Yep.
Good.
That's not a bad offensive. And then you have Purdy, who is good with offensive weapons around him.
Yes, he is.
And
He's
you have
proven that.
Shanahan, who can scheme up and do a good job as an
He can
offensive
scheme
coordinator.
anybody open. Anyone.
And then defensively, they've still got Fred Warner. They've still got Nick Bosa. They lost Halafunga Kwali, whatever his
Yeah.
name is. Safety's a good. I think he's a good player, but
They
I think
lost
they'll
Ward
back-
as well.
and they lost Ward,
Tavares was good.
and they lost Drake Greenlaw.
Who's
I
also
just-
good.
I just think I would have loved them to bring back Greenlaw or Hafunga. One of them would have been good.
Mm.
Yeah.
But they're backing again, as you said before, that they're going to draft well. They're going to draft another Hafunga.
Mm.
They're going to find. They let Al Shazier leave 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and everyone
that's
was
true.
like, "What are they doing?" And then Dre Greenlaw popped up,
Mm.
and then they're just
That's
backing,
true.
they're just going to do that again because that's their culture, right? That's
Mm.
the way they've built it,
Yep.
and it's worked for them. So I think their plan is actually quite sound. Now,
Mm.
it might not pay off this year. It might not work, and I think it all hinges on what they pay Purdy. If they pay Purdy $50 million, I'm okay with it. In theory, I'm
I'm
okay
not.
with it.
I'm
Paying
not.
what's the alternative? This is the Prescott argument. What's the alternative then if you let him walk? You want to be
If you're
want
good,
Rodgers?
If you're good, yeah, you'll get that veteran.
Yeah. I don't know.
Are you telling me that injuries turned off, that Rodgers is not licking his lips to go there?
Yeah, potentially, but I also
To a
think that
genuine contender? Because Pittsburgh are terrible. Giants are a fucking
Forget it. The Giants are a waste of time.
XFL
They're a waste of-
team.
They're a waste of breath.
with Malik Neighbors. Like,
yeah. And Brian Burns. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and Sexy Dexy. Let's give
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence is an absolute superstar,
Yeah.
actually. Absolutely. But you know what I mean? If you're those three teams and then the 49ers, Rodgers has gone straight back to California where he's from, straight to the 49ers.
So why do you want him for a 1 year? If you get Purdy for $50 million, in a year's time, it's going to look like nothing anyway. Why not just roll with a guy that you know has been successful
Because
with
it's
the
not
right
worth the
talent
money.
around?
It's not worth it.
I don't think it's worth it either. I
None
think
of the
you get,
quarterback. So what would you pay him to be worth it?
40
Darnold?
million. 40
Darnold money?
million.
Is he better
40.
than Darnold?
40 million a year is what I'm
not
paying.
better than Darnold, but I reckon he gets that Baker Mayfield Geno contract.
40 million I'd be happy with.
40 million. So you reckon anything over that? They've
Or
they've
It's too
reaching
much.
for it.
Yeah.
If you're the 49ers and you've gone all in on all these players before, and next year the Jags are shit, what's Trevor Lawrence? What's the asking price?
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But you could also do that with Purdy. You could just trade Purdy to them.
I don't
Like,
think
I don't think Purdy's crap enough that
Is he
going
under
to
contract next year?
Yeah,
for this
They
upcoming
don't have to
season?
sign him for another year.
Well, that's what I would say. I would put a contract in and say, dude, you can have 4 years, 40 million right now.
Yeah.
Or
Or
you can
play-
play,
or play
or
your
you can
cards.
play this year for 800 grand or whatever you're getting.
And see what happens.
And see what
And
happens.
if you dominate again, then everyone's hands are tied.
Yeah.
So if you play really well,
And if you play
everyone's
really
hands
well
are tied.
again, well, then you're going to get your 55 or 60 million
Whether
anyway
it's-
from someone.
the fact that they haven't
That's what I would
locked him
do.
up yet shows me that they're not 100% confident.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, because sign your stars
And nor
early.
should they be because he's not worth 50 or 55 million dollars a year.
I don't
He's
think
just
so
not.
either. I don't.
He's
I
not.
don't.
You said it, I think 2 weeks ago. There's about 6 throws a game that come out like it looks like a preschooler's fucking throwing them.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
bad throws.
Yep.
Bad.
Yep.
You can't be paying a guy 60 million a year and have that
Yep.
on tape as part of his resume.
Well,
And
you
when you're
definitely can,
contending-
but you don't want to.
When you're contending, those are the players that go the other
They
way.
kill you, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, fair enough. So what's your move? If you're the Niners right now, they haven't signed Purdy.
That's what I would do.
You'd-
Here's 40 million a year for the next 4 years, or you can play for 800 grand and then we'll see where the chips fall.
What about yourself?
No, I agree with what you said. I think that they're relying on their scouting, drafting, recycling through players. They're obviously going to re-sign Purdy. I think they've set up their cap in a way that they've got that gap there to sign him. I just don't know how many times can you reload, because they've done like 2 soft reloads and made the Super Bowl a lot of times before it catches up on you. And I wouldn't be McCaffrey and the tight end, I can't remember his name.
Kittle.
If they continue
Kittle.
to draft well, which they have in the past, you can do these soft reloads because you're topping up your team with good drafts.
But I think at the point they're almost at the point now where they're in their twilight.
I think
You're not going to be
McCaffrey's the
drafting.
key.
You're not drafting another McCaffrey. You're not drafting another
No.
Kittle.
now McCaffrey's the key. If he can stay healthy, as soon as the wheels fall off completely off McCaffrey, that's the Niners done.
Yeah.
I think there's too much baggage now for McCaffrey.
Yeah, I agree. The injuries are starting to pile up for sure.
The outliers are the Derrick Henry's.
AP as well.
AP.
Like, yeah.
We're talking, and McCaffrey at his peak is at that level, but they're outliers. There's hundreds of running backs that were
Also,
very good that drop off dramatically after injury.
Agreed.
Derrick Henry's rarely been hurt his entire career.
Yes, yeah.
I know
CMPs.
Peterson did his knee, and that was about the only real injury he ever had, and then came back and won MVP the
Yeah,
next year.
yeah.
So like he was a freak show. So I think there's certainly, and I just don't think the 49ers are going to be as bad as what people think. I think they are a competitor for that division still. I don't think they're out of it. I
think that division is a tough division.
if they're in the NFC North, they're in real trouble.
yes,
But I think in
But I
that
think
division they're a chance.
the West always just beats up on itself. Like the worst team in the West was still 7 wins or something last year with Arizona.
Yeah, true. And let's segue into our next team of what's the plan.
That's a segue.
And that's the Arizona Cardinals. This one's very interesting because I feel like this is a genuine middle of the pack organization. They're not bad, but they're not good. They are just genuinely in the middle. They don't have if I was a betting man based off Marvin Harrison's season last year, I would bet that he's not going to be this elite top level like Jamar Chase, CD Lamb, those sorts of elite guys. I think he's good and he showed enough that he'd be good. But if I was a betting man right now, I wouldn't bet that he's going to be the next generational talent like we all thought. But again, it is hard. Like it can change.
Can you pull up their OC for me, Brock?
And then Kyler Murray is also, I think he's the 7th highest paid quarterback. He's out of contract next year. So he's going into a contract. There's rumors that obviously he wants to get re-signed, which we all understand. He's injury prone. Since he got that contract, he has been either not available or good in patches and then really bad.
What was
in
his
patches.
injury? ACL?
It is ACL, yeah.
That's not necessarily. I believe, especially at the quarterback position, an ACL or a lower leg injury is not necessarily injury prone. That's a
No.
freak accident.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apart from Cousins just blowing out and Rodgers just blowing out his Achilles from old age, but I believe that's more of a freak accident than being genuinely injury prone.
So Kyler Murray is actually going into this season. He's the 12th highest cap hit at 32 million. So
Fuck all.
What would you do? Would you be re-signing Kyler Murray this year? Thinking he's probably going to be 60 million, but that is absolutely what his value is going to be at.
He's not worth 60 million,
I don't think so either.
in my opinion.
So if you don't re-sign him, then what's the move? Because they either need to bottom out or improve really quick. Because if they're not good this year, Rich Gannon's going to be gone. Is it Rich Gannon? I think
Yeah.
it's Rich.
Yeah.
Isn't Rich Gannon the old quarterback for the Raiders?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Jonathan Gannon. Sorry,
Gannon,
Jonathan Gannon.
Definitely not Chris Cannon.
No. So Jonathan Gannon, like they are in a bit of a. If they don't succeed in any way this year or show that they're getting any better and they're just middle of the pack or worse, it's going to be a reset again. And they're going into the dark days. Like I actually don't know what this team needs to do to move forward because they don't have the cap or the pedigree to be signing high end free agents, and they don't draft necessarily well. I don't know what the plan is with the Cardinals to get to how do they go from being middle of the pack to a playoff team?
I think Gannon's safe, and only for this reason that team played so hard, and they were obviously at a talent deficit every game, and they played above their talent. So I think that's a positive coaching point. The Kyler Murray thing's interesting. I think if you get him under 50 million, you re-sign him for 3 years.
Yep.
And then you got like a prove it time frame, and then you bottom out. They're just
Second highest cap space. Brock just put up on the screen as well. They've got
They didn't do-
63 million in cap.
yeah.
Second in the league.
It's almost like they're
Like what are they waiting to do? Because they didn't really do anything this offseason.
no.
Like I'm interested.
Well,
They
they got-
haven't got any
They got
stars. They're
swept,
needing to
didn't
resign.
they, from Philly?
Sweat.
Yeah, they got
That was on a
Sweat from
1 year
Philly.
deal.
Yeah, the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Sorry, they got Josh Sweat. Sorry,
Josh
yeah.
Sweat, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't think Josh Sweat's that great a player.
Yeah, but it was like 1 year, 9 million or something. It wasn't. It was just like a one
no,
year
no.
Sweat from Philly. It was 4 years.
It was 4 years,
50
like
or something like
yeah.
that. It was a big deal.
Was it? I must be confused.
I think it was about 20 mil a year or something. Yeah.
Josh Sweat, Marshall signed a 4-year, $76.1 million contract.
Okay,
Yeah,
I must be
yeah,
confused
almost
with
20 mil.
someone
So
else.
they've swung for the fences there. Again, I'm not backing that's going to work out. Look at the other ones like Calvin Beachum. They re-signed Simi Fakoko. He's the Rams wide receiver. They just didn't do enough to make me think they're actually trying to get a ton better, and that's where I'm
Yeah.
a bit confused with them. I'm just I
NFL
don't know.
perjury. Someone's got to be there.
Yeah, like they're not bad enough, mainly because of the quarterback play as well. Because I think Kyler Murray is quite good, but they're not good enough to be a playoff team.
Yep.
And they're not bad enough to be a top 10 pick and get any real talent in the building. And then I said I'm really skeptical on the
Where are they drafting?
Marvin Harrison.
They might be like that 12, 13 range. I think they really have to nail this draft. This is a, like you said, a crossroads for them. If they don't nail this draft, they're what pick?
16.
16.
Pick 16. Like I said, again, they're middle of the pack even for the draft. Like
Yeah.
they're just they might get a good O lineman there or a good D lineman, but it's harder and harder to nail one by that point. Like
Yeah, no doubt.
I just think
Tough spot.
I don't know what their plan is, and I'm confused by it. Any of the listeners, if you're a Cardinals fan, let us know because I'd love to know what your thoughts are on your team and what you think they need to do to improve. Because I think they are in absolute purgatory.
I think you can't rely on James Conner forever. So they have
couldn't rely
to
on him last year. He fell apart.
they have to invest in the O line. They've got Benson, I think, as a guy that's coming up. I don't know. They let talent go out. Who was the safety that went to the Giants? Simmons, Isaiah Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons they drafted him like 6 overall, or
Yeah.
even lower, and he just didn't work out. He's at the Giants now, but he's not very good. He's a starter. He's
Yeah.
okay. But you're right. That's my whole point. Though. They draft poorly. They drafted Hassan Reddick and then tried to play him as an off-ball linebacker, and then as soon as he leaves, he becomes a pass rusher.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't work out. Oh, this guy's a high-level pass rusher. It just doesn't make a lot of. They wait.
Drafted
too
an
long.
O lineman last year that wasn't too bad. I can't remember his name.
Paris Jr.
Paris Johnson.
Paris
Paris
Johnson.
Johnson.
Yeah,
Paris
Paris
Johnson.
Johnson.
And he's
Yep.
good. And
Yep.
he is good. He's going to be a good left tackle.
Yep.
And then obviously Marvin Harrison, we'll see how that plays out. I guess they back if Marvin Harrison becomes a superstar and you get Kyler Murray for
Trey McBride's obviously top
Trey
end.
McBride's good. He just can't
Top
catch.
end,
He
yeah.
kicks out all alive for the last game of the season.
Fuck me.
Thanks a lot, Trey.
And
you ruined
cooked out
football.
bets.
I think that.
Fucking Trey.
I think I think the short term. In the short term, they need to work out what they're doing with Kyler in terms of re-signing him for how much, and they really need to nail this draft.
Yeah, I think
Again,
this draft's
yeah.
crucial.
Very crucial.
It is
100%
because
agree.
this draft will either push them into the playoff territory or they'll start dropping off.
And also
Players will
tough
lose
division
interest.
because Seattle's in a similar boat, but probably more talented.
Definitely more talented.
Um,
Rams are more talented.
Rams are more talented,
and
and the
also
49ers, we're
Giants,
agreeing, are reloading, and you trust their process. So, you
And
know,
they're almost more talented than the Cardinals now, even with a reload.
yeah,
They've got better top end players. Like there's no
Yeah.
CMC or Kittle running around on the Cardinals.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
That's fair.
So it's tough division to really move up in.
We'll see how it plays out. I'm interested to watch the Cardinals. They're,
Yeah.
they're not a team we talk about often, so I'm interested to see how they play this.
As you can tell from our clueless chat about
Yeah.
the Cardinals, we don't even know the players.
Let's go to the next one. We've got two Texas teams coming up. We're going to start with the Cowboys.
What are your thoughts here, Jimmy?
I actually might call this Stockholm syndrome potentially, but I'm coming around on because you actually, Scotty, you're the one that made me think that when you said about we talked about the free agency not signing a guy for over $6 million since 2015, which they did end by signing Flowers to be a pass rusher for $8 million. So now it's no one
hallelujah.
over $8 million since 2015. But they've been successful. And I think if we took, let's just say that this strategy that the Cowboys have been doing for the past 10 years was another organization that doesn't have Jerry Jones, the corpse.
Yeah, I
at the
know
head
where
of
you're
it,
going with this.
carrying on saying, oh, we're going to win a Super Bowl. If they just shut up, they were the Cardinals and they were just quietly going about it, drafting well, putting good players on the park, winning. I know they weren't good last year. Injuries didn't help that. I think
No, well, when your starting quarterback gets injured,
It's always tough.
It's very tough.
but they've won 12 games 3 of the past 5 seasons.
That was 3 years in a row before last year.
Yeah, so they've barely signed a free agent.
Mm.
I think actually their process is quite impressive.
They've always, in the last sort of 10 years, they've always drafted well. They've developed their players well. The players that they have developed have all turned into studs, and
they keep
done
them.
really good job of keeping them in the
Keep 'em,
building.
yeah.
Yep, they
Which-
keep them.
Is half the fucking battle, really, if you think about it in the NFL.
Well,
Because-
sorry, go.
Sorry,
No, go.
apart from Parsons, they fucking sign him early.
Yeah,
that's
They
true.
sign him early and
Yeah.
they lock him up.
Yep, that's true.
In fairness to Parsons is only going into his 4th year, so it's still it's not it's only
It-
it only feels late because of the Crosby and
Yeah. The resetting the market with
can't say
Garrett
his name,
and
the Garrett Miles.
yeah.
That's what I only feel. And again, good organizations get word of that and do it and then go, okay, let's get Parsons locked up before this happens. But also, teams are very smart now. Like I'm tipping Parsons and his management team know that if we wait another year and play well again, he's going to get paid. They're clearing cap to do it. That's
Yes,
what they've
they
done.
are. Yep.
He's getting paid. I just think that if it wasn't for Jerry, and I'm one of the biggest haters of Jerry, we know that. I can't stand the guy.
I love him as
needs-
an Eagles
You
fan.
do love him. He needs to shut his mouth and just do, because in terms of the organization and what they do, it is quite successful. Take obviously playoff wins and Super Bowls away, which I know are very important, but they put a good team on the park almost every year. And the only time it's really been derailed the past 5 or 6 years is because of
Both
injuries.
times Dak got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, the elbow and,
And
the
the-
Achilles.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, everyone badmouthed him for signing Dak for that contract, and then he came out and had an MVP caliber season.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
I just think they do a lot of things right, and I'm actually having some faith in that. Like, oh, they should have re-signed DeMarcus Lawrence. Why? He's 32 years old.
Mm.
He was injured all last year. When he was injured, the defense didn't play any better. They actually were worse with him.
Mm.
And like that's a bit of a litmus test. They obviously played harder and got a bit better down the stretch and got more comfortable with Zimmer and that sort of stuff. But he wasn't like and I love Lawrence, but it wasn't like he was. Oh, if we had Lawrence on this team right now, we're a Super Bowl.
No,
Yeah.
he's a complementary piece on a very good defense. And that's he's shown that throughout his career.
yeah.
And that's like obviously with Seattle, great signing because we've got Big Cat in the middle. You've got I can't even remember my own players' names at the moment.
Jaron Reed,
Jaron Reed's re-signing.
Owusu.
No, yeah, well, our DN's stacked. You got
Yeah.
Shannon Owusu, Mafe,
Taylor.
Taylor's gone.
They
Derek
tra-
Hall.
Sorry, Derek Hall. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Of, yeah.
And I can't remember our first round pick from last year. He's an absolute gun.
I can't even remember him. You should remember him.
I know I've dropped the
Anyway,
ball. It's too late.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that the Cowboys. I think what they're
Situation
doing
is my point.
is what they've done, letting go of Tyron Smith last year. I said I was sad about it too, but it worked out. He was terrible.
It's clearly the right
he
move.
struggled
Yeah.
at the Jets, and he's probably going to struggle even more this year.
They probably saw the drop off in the building. And
Yeah.
you're better off being an early
Yeah, you want to go a year earlier
Year.
than a year late
Yep.
for sure.
Agreed. And they
I
said
think the
Byron Murphy.
Byron Murphy.
the main
Jesus
issue
Christ, I'm so
is there's two that one is like this whole like America's team. They've always just got that fucking circus around them because of that, and the lack of playoff success in the medium or long term. Really, they haven't made a championship game since when?
96.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
Last time they won a Super Bowl and played in a championship.
yeah, so that's what 30 years ago basically. So that's an issue.
Yeah.
But Dak has always been maligned. I've been one to malign him as well, but really he's not a bad player. I don't think he's an exceptional player. I think he's probably like in that 10 to 15
Yeah.
mark, I would put him in that.
Throw him on the
Bracket.
Vikings and he's probably winning an MVP or competing for it.
So
Because the one year the Cowboys
I don't-
had dominant offensive players around
Yeah.
him, he was at that level.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But having said that, like if everyone stays healthy, they're a 10 or 11 win team.
I agree.
Really.
And again, if they'll back themselves to draft well again. I said my whole point is you take Jerry Jones and the bullshit out of the Cowboys.
This is the problem. Jerry Jones is the problem.
And that is the problem. And
Yeah.
I say this. This is why people hate the Cowboys. This is why me, as a fan of the Cowboys, and I can't stop being a fan of them as much as I try.
Mm.
It's just embedded in me now. I can't stand Jerry. Just shut the fuck up.
Mm.
And then people won't hate you. Shut up, draft well, do all the right things, and just say, hey, yeah, I am a good GM. I draft really well.
The issue with Jones is that he's trying to promote the Cowboys brand.
Yes, I was about to say the same thing.
But-
He's a salesman.
But really, if you think about it, he's actually hurting the brand
Mhm, I
because
agree.
people don't want to go there because they don't want to have to deal with old man Jerry. Like years ago, even 5-10 years ago, to play in that fucking
The
that
star on
silver
your
with the
helmet.
star on your helmet.
Star on your helmet.
That's a fucking big deal. Like people
Yep.
like it's like soccer players that want to go and play for Real Madrid because it's like it was a big deal to go and play for the Cowboys. Like now, no one wants to go there.
It's just
That's an issue.
Yeah, it is.
I think people do want to go there. I think
Mm.
polarizing is good and bad. It just depends on what side you look at it.
Yeah,
But like the Cowboys, like how many? There's 6 to 8 teams that are perennial losers, dumpster fire organizations that dream of the mediocrity of the Cowboys.
yeah, but
Yeah,
that's my
It's
point.
Playoff mediocrity.
Doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. But they're a good. Their mediocrity comes in the playoffs, which
Yes.
sucks. But their success, like every season, I go into the season going, the Cowboys are going to be okay. Like they've got a chance. If things go our way, they're going to be a good team.
But
I feel the same about him this year.
The
If things go
Cowboys
their way, they'll be
law,
good.
the Cowboys law.
Is
is
engraved
not-
around 1990 to 96.
Yeah, but
and
that's
the
not.
problem.
But it's true. But it's not one of mediocrity. It's one of winning. It's one of championships. One of Super Bowls.
But you realize that's also what Jerry's created because it wasn't that before.
It wasn't Jerry that did that. It was fucking Jimmy Johnson that did that, man.
I agree.
And then when he was run out of the building, they haven't won nothing since.
I know. I'm just saying, but Jerry
All
is
right,
also a part of that
Pittsburgh
brand.
with-
He's created that brand.
He's
been a
created the
part of it.
brand. He's created the brand.
Yeah.
But the brand is one thing. The on-field stuff is
Agree.
another, and that's the problem. He's like too
There's a-
much involved in the on-field stuff.
Couldn't agree more. If they just let him run the business, it'd be outstanding.
It's clear he has high-level business acumen.
Yes.
There's no one's doubting that.
Yeah.
I think the plan going forward is the Cowboys, they just trust their process.
Yep.
They build through the draft. Obviously, they know their weaknesses, wide receiver,
In terms of what to draft, yeah, sure.
probably high round picks at DBs if they can.
Yep.
D line, and then just go through the process. I mean, I would go out on a limb and say they'll win more games next year than the Commanders.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's not a stretch. I don't think. it's a stretch.
Yeah, I think there's a Commanders fall.
I'll be very
Anyway,
surprised
we'll-
if they don't win 11 games.
I think 11's a lot. I think, especially with other teams like in that tier, the second tier of the NFC,
Brocky, keep
I-
that receipt.
I don't think the Cowboys are as good as the second tier as the NFC, but I think they're in the bottom of that tier.
Yeah,
of the NFC.
I'll put it this way.
I think there's
I'll
6
be
or 8
shocked.
teams definitely better than them.
I'll be shocked with 4 games next year in the season if the Cowboys aren't contending for the playoffs.
Sure.
Yes, I agree.
whether they're in or out, but they will be in to the last game of the season or the second last game of the season.
If
like,
healthy.
It'll be if healthy, they've got a chance to get the
Like
playoffs.
as like a 6 or a 7 seed, is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
I
the
think so.
ultimate goal of a football team. The first goal when every team starts of the year should be we make the playoffs. The easiest way to do that is to win our division. So
Division,
that's
yeah.
the ultimate goal, to win the division,
Yeah.
and then hopefully be the number 1 seed for. But
Which is also not beyond the realms of possibility because, especially in the East, no
But just-
team has won it 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So you never
the
fucking know.
Giants could win it next year.
Oh.
God, I hope not.
Pump the brakes there, big boy.
Hashtag
Imagine they
fucking
come
right.
out 6-0 and you guys are like, oh my God,
I,
their year.
I just don't see it. There's no way.
You know what? I'll just enjoy it
Keeping that.
because the fall will be coming.
Nah, there's just no way. No way.
All right, let's go to our last
The
team
second
for what's
tower.
the plan is the Texans. And I'm going to hit you guys with a question. What was the biggest problem with the Texans last year?
Play calling.
I would have said offensive line.
Offensive line for sure.
They couldn't block a soul. Stroud was running for his life, and then he struggled because of it. He still played quite well considering.
I would say play calling because they recognized, the whole world recognized that O-line was too poor and they didn't change their schemes and have hot routes and all that sort of stuff embedded to
Work
help
around
their
it,
second-year quarterback
Mm.
to overcome those deficiencies. Now, Nico Collins being hurt huge thing.
Tank Dell too later. In the
Tank
season.
Dell and then Stephon Diggs as well. So it was against them, and I agree with that. But if you don't put your players in positions to overcome deficiencies and have a chance of winning games, it comes back on the coaching.
I 100% agree.
But my point is their offensive line wasn't good. And
Seattle had
and
a shithouse O-line and won 10 games.
yeah, but
in
they
the
also
upper conference.
it also killed them in a lot of games too, which was the Texans'
Absolutely.
fault as well. If the
Yeah.
Texans were in the NFC West, they wouldn't have made the playoffs.
They would have been worse than Arizona.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
that's
so then they
coaching.
double down on bad offensive line. They trade away Tunsil and they trade away Kenyon Green, who like Kenyon Green was a borderline starter. He was a first round pick. It is what it is.
He went to the Eagles, didn't he?
Yeah, he's gone to
Yeah,
the Eagles,
yeah.
and then Becton's left. So
So he'll probably slide in.
he's going to be
and
perfect.
He'll be a Pro Bowl guard.
Yeah, because he'll get good coaching in
from
your point.
the Philly Cup.
I just think with the Texans, if my number one thing is that our offensive line is bad, I wouldn't start, particularly with Tunsil. I wouldn't have started with trading him away.
I think there's something else there. I said it when he got traded. I think there's something else there. I think D'Amico Ryans wants things a very particular way, and
Potentially.
I think he's a very high demand, high reward coach. And I don't know if that's the way that Lunsell loves to be coached.
Sure.
So it's like,
Yeah, he
hey, if
doesn't
you're not
respond.
buying in,
Yeah.
see you later.
Yeah.
And I think that he led the league in
False starts.
most false starts and penalties.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're hurting your team on both ways.
Yep.
So they're like, hey, we've got the bad O-line, and if you're our best player in a bad O-line and you're performing the worst, see you later. So I think there's something else there.
Yeah,
To my point.
potentially.
But I agree with O-line being probably their biggest weakness.
Yeah, so what's the plan then moving forward for these guys?
I think out of their first 4 draft picks, 2 of them have to go O-line.
Mm.
They're not in a position where they can pick the best player. They have to pick for need. Which is dangerous.
If I was the Texans, my first 4 picks would be O-linemen.
I'd be picking a receiver in there too.
I don't know. Oh, because their Tank Dell's hurt. Who did they sign someone? Who did they?
They got Kirk for a 7th round
Christian
pick.
Kirk from Thingo.
That doors things up a bit.
I think with
Veteran.
Collins and Kirk, and then you hope that Tank Dell's back at
They
some
got
point
Ferguson
next
as
year.
well, who was injured as well last year for
No,
them.
Schultz.
Schultz, sorry, yeah.
Ferguson's
Yeah.
the other white
Yeah.
Cowboys tight end.
Yeah. My bad.
Schultz is good. He was hurt last year as well.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
So I don't think. And then obviously the running back Mixon played really
Mixon
well.
played well in
Mixon was good.
stretches.
Just a good
Yeah.
pickup.
He's getting a little bit older. You probably want to invest in. Yeah, they're in a very dangerous spot where there's a lot of needs and you can't draft. They don't have the luxury of drafting best player.
No, they need to go. I said it wouldn't surprise me if, as I said, if they went all 4, their first 4 picks O linemen, I would have said they're going good because hopefully 2 of them hit.
Yeah.
And then you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get 2 of them in the building. We all know as soon as you put a couple in there, things start to get a little bit better straight
Yep.
away.
Yep.
So I think I like the Texans.
Where are they drafting, please, Brock?
Well,
late
it'd
playoff team.
be
Be
somewhere
20.
in the 20s.
They made it
20
to
to 22.
Did they lose to the Chiefs? They
They
won.
won 4 seed.
They won the wild card. It goes off playoff finish though. The draft.
Yeah.
So if you win the Super Bowl, you pick 32.
Yeah. So they beat the Chargers and lost to the Kansas City.
Yeah. So they their pick. I can't even read that. Was that 20?
25.
Can
Turn
you
your
zoom
eyes
in?
on.
25.
Little producer tip there.
Yeah,
Can you
so-
zoom in so we can see it?
Our eyes are all.
Control scroll wheel.
Yeah, so that they won't be getting a high
There you go.
level
Yeah.
tackle
See?
at that.
All,
They get a high level guard at that pick.
We've said it a few times. It's a deep O-line draft. This is the
Yep.
draft to load up on offensive linemen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm interested in the Texans. I think you've got Stroud. You've probably got one more season before you got to pay him.
And the thing is, it's a weak division, so it's very winnable for the next 2 or 3 years as well. They really need to get this right.
That's the thing. That's where they're pretenders as well, because weak division, like we said, if they're in 4 or 5 other divisions, they're lucky to be getting 6 wins.
Yeah.
But like they're not. So you know.
Who, if anyone in that division is stealing it from them, who is it?
Colts. I love the Colts.
What? You love the Colts a lot.
No, I agree. The Colts.
The
The Colts are
Colts,
the
yeah.
team.
I would have said the Jags.
But not the the Jags. Jags are no good.
I like the Jags
the
too, but I
Jags
think
are
the
the only
Colts.
other team with a quarterback that could play at a high level.
Absolutely.
I personally think he's a BUST bust.
You can't get paid $50 million and then be a bust. He's successful no matter what.
Well, okay, fine. But I just
No,
think
you got to
that
win a playoff
Between the
game.
numbers.
what I'm saying is that his best days are well and truly behind him.
no way. Nah.
Well,
Trevor Lawrence has all the tools. He's definitely
I don't know if his best days are going to be in Jacksonville.
yes.
But I think he's got good days coming.
I think the Colts.
I'll be
top to
very
bottom, are
surprised if he's good this year.
Oh,
Very frisky team.
You're off Lawrence completely.
Off.
Yeah.
Off.
Who are you more off, Lawrence or Richardson?
Definitely Richardson.
Don't say anything else.
At least Lawrence can read a defense, man.
It's true. Yeah, I think the Texans will win the division next year quite comfortably.
Yeah,
I-
only because they'll probably start Richardson, the Colts. That's probably why.
They will definitely start him. We've already discussed this.
Yeah,
We
that's
will
what
not
I'm saying.
discuss it again.
I don't think comfortably because was it last year? No, the year before it came down to the last game, and then last year it was
Well, the year before the Jags were good. Last year the Texans
Flacco.
ran away with it.
No,
Flacco
oh,
played
no.
for the Browns.
the
That
year
was the Browns,
before
my bad.
it came down
My
to Colts Texans, and whoever won got in. And then last year it was a similar thing. The second last game,
Oh, was it? I couldn't remember. Against who? The Colts. Yeah, because the Colts were
Yeah.
hanging around last year.
yeah.
Just hanging around. Just hanging around.
I really wish Andrew Luck was still playing on the Colts now.
Oh, I wish Andrew Luck was just in my life
Yeah,
all
agree.
the time, every
Agreed.
day. Just a phone call per morning, a Snapchat.
I just want to talk football with
just,
you.
just a quick snap. Him and John Gruden.
Captain-
Just a quick snap every morning, and I'll
Bring
die
back
happy.
Captain Andrew.
100%. All right, that's it. That's our 5. What's the plan for this week? Sorry, you guys finished on the Texans?
Definitely.
Yep.
So we'll do a few of these every week, and we'll just get through all the teams. Obviously, draft is coming up. I imagine, fingers crossed, we know by next week what Aaron Rodgers and stuff are doing.
Well,
which
I'm
will
not
open
sure
up
that
some
we
doors.
will because apparently he's gone away on holiday.
Imagine if he waited till post draft and was like, draft someone and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
See what you do in the draft.
Nah, he's not on holiday. He's just at his holiday house in Malibu.
Malibu. It's a tough life, man.
Malibu.
Yeah.
He's already pre-booked his ayahuasca for OTAs and
He
preseason.
really,
He's
he
prepaid
really
for that.
makes it hard to like him, doesn't he?
He's got a
Ultimate-
membership for it.
He's the ultimate guy that's like, oh no, I'm on site at 3:00, so I'll just finish working from home for the afternoon.
We-
That's
we
Aaron
all-
Rodgers.
We all know a bloke that's pretty flaky with commitment.
All right, that's the show.
All right, shout out to Brocky on the 1s and 2s. Thank you, mate. Thanks for Brocky's corner this week as
Yeah,
well, Brocky.
shout
That
out.
was very insightful from you.
It's my favorite part of the week.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Extremely sad and attractive. I don't know. It's
I'm a
just
sad
split
dude.
between-
I'm a sad dude, bro.
You're
I'm
not
rock
a
hard.
sad dude. Scotty, thanks for everything. George, thanks for being a big man in the room. Make sure you get on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Watch the videos. guys. Comment. Give us shit. Bag
Especially
me
if we're
about
shit
anything.
canning your team. Let
Yeah.
us know about it. We'd love to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fight me.
And yeah, all the we actually got a real influx of comments on clips the last week, which has been really good. Especially on TikTok, got a lot of people commenting, which is really cool.
Comment.
a few guys that have become. I'll actually next week I'll get some names of guys that commented and actually bring them onto the show because
Ooh,
some really good back and forth with a few guys, constructive stuff. One guy that said, "Don't we have our own league to focus on again?" I was like, "Hey Ryan, find a different thing to say." Also, I
might be a
know
bot.
I'm working out who you are too, so don't worry, I'll find you. and then you're gonna get the David Holmes treatment, big
Oh
guy.
wow.
No, we don't want to do that.
No, don't do that. No, comment away, and we're always happy to have a laugh and have a discussion. So,
Absolutely.
thanks everyone. Peace out. See you next week.
Ciao.